Brain blast. Yeah, there you go.
Oops, let me get this.
There you go.
Oh, what did I just knock over?
No, if we ignore it, it won't exist.
Oh, just my glasses.
We don't need those, man. 2020 vision out here. Shout out to me because that's actually one of my songs from back in the day.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard 2020,
do you want to go check the link to see if it's working?
I'm plugging myself right now, man.
Oh, I can still plug for you if you want.
Oh yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
I'll check the. Did you send it to me?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
2020 Vision. It's a banger. It's a classic. It's the one with the blinking eyes. It's kind of like this. It's like a loop. It's on Sean's EP Midpoint, which you can go check out on Spotify under King Kudjo, but also it's on SoundCloud as well. And it was actually released as like a single, like a solo song before it was released on the EP. So I think there's two versions of it actually that you can find. One of them is like the one that's the single original release, and then one of them's like the album release version. But on Spotify, you can go find it on the album Midpoint.
Sounds like butter.
Yeah, that's right. There's two versions of Out and About.
Sure.
Yeah, or sorry, not Out and About. There's two versions of 2020 Vision, because like one of them's a single release on SoundCloud.
It's the same song. There's nothing different about it. The difference is that on Spotify, it's part of the entire EP. It's more of an album, in my opinion, but it's on the album Midpoint versus when it was like released as a single beforehand. So it's the same song. It's the rollout.
Oh yeah, I was just saying there's like a different place to find. Like there's two places to find it.
Oh yeah.
Like
yeah.
Which has an interesting backstory.
2020 Vision.
Just because it was released before the album, and then it was.
Yeah, I guess it was released twice. Mm-hmm. It was released twice. It was released on SoundCloud first.
A lot of artists do that. They like have their single, and then it ends up on the album.
Yeah, there's their banger that they have. They're like, everyone got to hear this, and then they release as part of a project to tease the project.
Yeah,
and I did something like that, and it was fun.
Yeah,
that was very very fun. Anyway, I don't want to waste no time. Let's get right into it, man. A lot's happened recently.
It's been a crazy week. What did we talk about? We talked about fences last time.
We talked about fences last time,
Saturn
but now a lot has occurred. Did we talk about the listening party? Or did that happen afterward?
I feel like we did. Wait,
right? The listening party was.
Maybe we didn't talk about it.
The listening party was Saturday, so no. This is the first time I think we
really.
I feel like
I feel like I got deja vu just now though. Like I feel like
we talked that it was coming up.
Oh yeah,
but we didn't. I haven't shared anything. Anyway, so we just had our listening party here on Saturday of last weekend, not this coming weekend.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun, little intimate group, and I heard my whole album for the first time. I feel like I've been talking about this album every day for the past like 3 weeks.
That's what happens when you do a drop. You know what I'm saying?
It is what it is. But anyway, let me show off this bowl so that they can see.
Oh yeah, limited edition. There's only one of a. It's only one of a kind.
Limited edition Leaving Saturn bowl.
Yeah.
I made this before the album dropped, and then I was showing it off to people that were at the listening party.
Yep.
So here it is for you guys to see, because I know you guys are huge fans of the work. Is selling for $200. So if you like a limited edition created by the artist himself, which is me.
It's one of a kind.
All right. Let me make sure this is is properly what's the word? Organized here.
Doesn't get more valuable than that.
Yeah, no. It's a very nice bowl. I haven't used it yet. I should put like mac and cheese.
I feel like it's an art bowl. I feel like you don't have to use art bowls. Like you
don't have to use art bowls, but like it's a bowl, you know? Like I feel like it wants to be eaten out of.
I feel like it's a mantelpiece, but I mean it's your bowl.
It is a mantelpiece when you look at it, but like it's also a bowl.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can use
a bowl should be used. That's all I'm saying.
Hey, you're the artist, so
that's true. So I'm definitely gonna eat out of
the
bowl.
But whenever I made like a bowl,
unless somebody wants it, then you can eat out of this.
Yeah. But whenever I made a bowl in like ceramics class growing up, would you ever eat out of those bowls?
I tried to drink out of the mug. Yeah. Remember when we made those little face mugs? I tried to drink out of it, but it had so many holes.
Right.
So the liquid.
But that looks pretty. But you made that at ceramics, or did you just get a bowl and then you painted it?
I got a bowl and then I just painted it, and then they glazed it and they made it all like shiny looking.
At the ceramics. Didn't you go to a ceramics restaurant or something like that?
Yeah, I went to a ceramics spot where like they have a bunch of already like pre-made plasts. I think that's what they're called. And like there's some funky looking one. There's a lot of mugs, bowls, plates. I saw this giant dog. Also a cat. So our friend Kayla, she painted the cat. It's very cute.
Oh, that's cool. You guys got to pick your different shapes and stuff like that.
Yeah. And then I picked this bowl because I was like, ooh, it'd be cool if we get to do like a little Leaving Saturn like album cover in the bowl. So
I'll have to join next time and paint something.
You'll have to. It just looks like a dude's like chilling, like it's a pool or something.
Yeah,
and you look at it like this, but no, it's very nice.
Oh yeah, he's swimming.
Yeah, he's just swimming in there.
And he's leaving Saturn at the same time.
Exactly. It's all about perspective.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, tell the story of the listening party.
Yeah, no. So we had a couple people over, bit of food, bit of drink, and like again, I have not heard the album entirely from first track to last track. In fact, I haven't heard the last track at all till that day. So I was experiencing it for like the first time. It didn't feel like my music. It felt like somebody else's music. So I could just lay back and appreciate it. And man, it's dark and it's beautiful. Does that make sense? Yeah. It's like my own dark, twisted, beautiful fantasy.
Oh, I wonder. That sounds vaguely familiar.
Right? But I feel like thematically, I did a lot of things in there that I don't even think I realized I was doing consciously. Yeah, it was like subconsciously I just put in the music, whether it was in the production of it or if it was in the lyrics. But I feel like I put my absolute best artistic foot forward. Yeah. And it made me feel like, all right, I'm an artist. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like before that, all my other projects always felt a little bit shallow.
It's just like you're finding your place.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm finding my place because I wasn't allowing myself to be vulnerable inside of my art. This is the first time I made an art piece and put my vulnerabilities in it. Yeah. And like, it just comes across so much stronger because I allowed it to be vulnerable.
You said what was going on in your mind. Sometimes I feel like it's like, I think we've talked about this before on the podcast, but like at first when we're making songs, we write almost like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like I write as if I'm writing based off what I've heard, right? So I'm maybe not.
No, it's for like, I think I saw J. Cole say that like his first songs, he was just trying to rap like Eminem.
Yeah, I mean,
like everyone just tries to rap like what they hear.
Right, what you hear. And like for us, even like we made a song about going down East Side Drive 95, which I think I have talked about this on the podcast before. But we didn't even do a road trip on 95 yet.
No.
Now we have.
It just sounded cool. Like, so we went with it.
Right. You know? But it's like now we could say more stuff about it. But like it's funny that we made it at a time.
Even to the West Side Drive.
We just started driving like 2 years prior. You know, we hadn't done some crazy East Coast road trip yet. Yeah.
Yeah, no, not that our music was unauthentic, but there were stories that we didn't have a personal connection with. Exactly. They were just stories that we were hearing.
Yeah. And now it's like being able to. Sometimes it's also daunting to like release your like thoughts like amongst your family and friends, because like if people hear it, then you're like anxious or nervous that they're gonna judge you or something about your feelings or whatever. But it's like that's an artist. I mean, artist doesn't have to, I guess, but I mean, to me, like...
No, I think a genuine artist has to do at least a little bit of it.
Of emotion, of giving emotion.
Putting your emotion into the work, because that's what makes the quality start to come out. Right. Because for me, I feel like being an artist where you can put your emotion in your work, that's something that actually has to be trained. Yeah. Because for me, when I started doing music, it was a concept of like, I'm making stuff that I want to hear, right? Yeah, and I'm hearing if I wanted to hear like a Migos song, I would try to do like a Migos song instead of doing like my song and what my sound sounds like.
Right.
So it's you have to train yourself to be like, all right, how do I start putting a little bit more emotional weight into my project so that they stick a little harder, right? You know, instead of sounding so not unoriginal, but unprovoking. Does that make sense? Unprovoking.
Can you elaborate? What do you mean? Like it's not like you mean it's like it's not provoking any like specific thoughts out of you necessarily. It's
yeah,
not
like when you hear a song, right?
You're saying it's not making you feel that much.
Yeah, exactly. I don't feel anything hearing it.
I think there's still a space for art that doesn't make you feel that much, but it's
so you don't have to feel.
Yeah.
You don't have to feel dark and like heavy emotions. You
Yeah.
can also feel very like light or energetic emotions. But the point is that you should feel something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I feel like it would almost be impossible to feel nothing. I feel like it's like
but art where like you're not putting any of your own emotion into it, that's where you don't feel anything. And that's when it's really
but maybe
bad.
you feel that there's not emotion put into it, which is
you can feel a lack of it.
Maybe
I guess,
it's like
but that's not really a feeling. It's like a lack of feeling.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah, and I think like the one that we did put the most sort of like ourselves into was Trail Mix on that first EP.
Trail Mix is a banger, and it comes across in like what's being played a lot.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and that one, yeah, that's when we first did it. I think people appreciated that, and we've done that since then too.
Yeah,
and those are the ones that people. I feel like whenever we do that type of thing, I receive like the most feedback from the ones where we like open up the most on them, basically.
I mean, it's all a development period of becoming an artist, because it's not stuff that you can do off the bat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like to intellectualize, and that's not always the best word, but to intellectualize and emotionalize your pieces to yourself is something that you have to wake up to. It's not something that you're just gonna know right off the bat.
Yeah, it's just part of the artist journey.
Yeah,
the epic journey.
Exactly. And now, like, I feel very in tune with myself, which has also allowed me to be in tune with my own art.
Yeah.
So now, like, that Leaving Saturn's out there. I got to hear the project myself. I'm very proud of the work that I put in, because, like, not only on a lyrical level, because usually with lyrics, I'm like iffy on, because I feel like you just kind of spat a bunch of words out and just see what sticks. With this, like, lyrically, I had a particular plan. I executed it. Production wise, I also had a plan. I executed that. Like, this is an album where like I felt like I wanted to do something, and then I executed what I wanted to do.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. That's really satisfying. It's so, because like, sometimes I feel like there's a art that like changes, because like when you storyboard a film, right? Like you have this like ideal, well, at least when you start out, I feel like it's like you have this like ideal shot in mind.
Yeah.
And then like you're hoping that like the shot will look exactly the same way that it did in your dream or your drawing or whatever. But like a lot of times you don't have a TV, like a sorry, not a TV. A lot of times you don't have a location scouted when you do that. So like you have this perfect ideal shot in your mind, but you have no idea where it's going to be. And then that is like a good example of how art then can sometimes get a little bit lost in translation, because then you have to find a new location. Say the location's wrong, and then the shot looks different. You know what I'm saying?
Or too expensive, and then you gotta change the shot because of the location.
Change the shot.
Yeah.
And that's okay, because like a lot of the best art is made out of restraints. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of the, music is so, like, I think we talked about this before as well, but like music is so much like a microphone. Is so much more accessible than a film camera, usually. Now, an iPhone camera might be more accessible than a microphone nowadays, but I don't think so. I think a microphone is still.
It depends on what you consider as a film camera and what you consider as a microphone.
Exactly.
Because both of those are extremely accessible, because they're both on your phone.
Right. Either way, they're pretty accessible to the general population, right? Like even if it's at its core, like voice memos and like video on your camera, a lot of people have that.
I guess in terms of like the development curve, like when you want to start expanding into the more creme de la creme products in this particular field, I feel like with sound, there's a certain expense cap where like it'll be expensive, but it's never going to be too expensive.
Yeah.
Whereas film, you can go like crazy overboard. Man.
Right. I think that's the thing. And then that's why, like, a lot of times, again, like I said, restraints
make the best art.
Create. I can't remember how it goes. Restraints, something about creativity.
I think restraint breeds creativity, because you have to be creative on like how can I use these constraints and then turn them into something.
Nice. Yeah, that's a restraints breed creativity. Exactly. Yeah. And it's like that's the cool part about art. So it's like don't worry about it.
That's a simple way to put it.
Like, yeah, like if your film's like not going exactly how you wanted to get it shot, don't worry about it.
That's
Just
how it goes,
like,
man.
troubleshooting is part of the process.
Matt Reeves was saying, and I might have already said this, but I love saying it again. Matt Reeves said that being creative is like being in a completely dark room and just reaching for whatever you can feel with your hands.
Yeah.
Like you're crawling around, you're trying to grab ideas.
Yeah.
And it's like, all right, you grab an idea and you feel like this might work, and then you try to keep it, right? And then you keep looking for more good ideas. You find another one, but this one doesn't work. You throw it back into the darkness.
And then you lose track of where you put the first one.
Exactly. Then suddenly you forget about where you put the first one.
Right,
the idea is that creativity is actually a collection of a couple of different random things in this ethos of like brilliant ideas.
Exactly, yeah.
And then you try to create something out of it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's in pieces from the jump.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not going to be perfect.
And art is as collaborative as you want it to be, or sometimes it's
as personal as you want it.
Or sometimes it's not exactly how you want it to be. Like sometimes you want
I think almost every art is actually not exactly how you want it to be.
Yeah.
It's because when you
point.
Think of an art piece, it comes from a place that doesn't exist. Right. And then you try to bring it into a tangible, real world.
Right. Yeah.
And that translation will never, it can't be perfect.
It's hard.
I'm sure like the Mona Lisa that like Da Vinci was thinking about is like far superior to what he actually made.
I mean, there's so many artists that are widely recognized for being good at their jobs. Yeah. And then they hate watching themselves. Like I think Adam Driver is one of them.
Adam Driver hates watching himself?
That's what I remember hearing. That he hates watching himself. And it's like I can be so good at your craft and then still not want to consume your own craft. Like, which I get, and that's like to each.
Jonathan Majors said the same thing.
That's like
he doesn't watch his own movies.
Yeah, and that's like your choice. You know, that's like up to the artist. But it's like for me, maybe that will change in the future. For me right now, I feel like watching myself back is training. Because it's like, you know, it's like when you like practice lines in the mirror.
How you get better?
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like at least for me, that's always the way I thought about it.
This is a performer.
But Adam Driver's a performer too, and he doesn't need it. So I guess it just depends.
I don't think that he doesn't need it. I mean, maybe he feels like maybe the difference is that with the mirror, you're practicing towards something, so he does that often.
Right.
But then when it's the finished product, there is nothing you can change.
Yeah,
There's
maybe
nothing
that is
you can
what
do.
It is.
It's just
maybe that is what it is.
Yeah, it just is what it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like out there. It's like the show's over.
Exactly. There's nothing you can do to change it or try to do a line better or this or that.
You're right. That's a really good way of thinking
about
it. I didn't think about it like that. Yeah. That's like a good theater. You put it in good theater terms.
I did?
Because like remember how like when we were growing up, like Kashi would be like, oh, did the show go well? She'd be like, it was perfect. Don't worry about it. Sort of was her mindset because like it's over. You can't change the past. We couldn't even go back and watch it, so it's just like
in theater you can't even go back and watch it yourself and see how you did, man. It's gone.
Perfectly imperfect. You know what I'm saying? It is how it was. It is how it is.
Every show is perfect.
Yeah.
Perfectly imperfect. Yeah. Speaking of perfectly imperfect shows, the Oscars just happened.
Oh yeah, the Oscars.
The Oscars just
happened.
We
should talk about the Oscars.
We should, because it's the at least in the professional world, it is the creme de la creme awards for film excellence.
Yeah.
And I feel like the Oscars recently has had a very rocky history where it's like you see where I'm going with this, right? That was an accident, by the way. I did not plan that. I did not plan that, bro. I feel like Jimmy Kimmel with these jokes right now.
Are you sure it doesn't have a really Smithy history?
No, it has a pretty rocky history. Now, whether or not something's just gonna smack the silly right out of it, and
man, did you like have these bars prepared?
I did not, bro.
Did you record yourself or did you practice in the mirror?
I wish I practiced that in the mirror, bro. Honestly, that just came out. That was like off the dome. But even I was actually gonna go into some of that. With the Oscars, right? There's always a lot of backlash, either if it's with not enough Black representation in the Oscars, period, or they're being too woke, Or, oh, we hired Kevin Hart as a host, and then they fired him as a host, and then they had no host for a year.
Right, I forgot about that.
No host for a year. It's crazy. And then just this past year, everybody knows Will Smith slapped the fucking silly out of Chris Rock, bro. That man, like, Chris Rock just did a comedy special where he said, people keep asking me if it hurts. It still hurts. He felt the slap and it's still ringing in his ear. You know? I mean, it was a joke.
Yeah.
But no, it was.
I'm sure it still hurts emotionally.
Yeah, like I think underneath the joke, he's saying like not only did it hurt at the moment, like he's dealing with the side effects of that to this day.
Yeah,
that's kind of the underlying idea from the joke of like, yeah, it still hurts. But yeah, so the Oscars had a pretty rocky history the last couple of years. But this last one, I think, other than one snub.
What was it?
Angela Bassett should have had that supporting actress Oscar.
I thought you meant like somebody said something like snarky on stage.
No, there was no, okay. I think Jimmy Kimmel's jokes with Malala were bad. Were like bad jokes, bro. Right. But other than that,
I didn't see them.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Well, I saw them, and they were like, it was like, bro, this is someone who's literally been shot in the head for trying to keep the peace and represent women's rights. Mm-hmm. You shouldn't be joking with her like, oh, you've done so many great things for like the world, blah 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 blah. This fan asks, something silly like, who was it like? Who would win in a fight, you or Cocaine Bear? It's like some silly ass question. It's something silly like that.
You're.
And Malala was like not having it, bro. She was like, bro, I'm not answering this stupid ass question. Like I'm in it for peace. And then like while he's going to go do another joke with someone else, this person dressed up as like the Cocaine Bear from the movie Cocaine Bear. And it's like, yeah, I haven't seen it either.
Is it about a bear that does cocaine?
No, so it's about this story. It's a real story where like this cartel left cocaine like the middle of the woods, and a bear ate all that shit and went fucking crazy. So
it sounds like an interesting movie.
It's a real story, and it's based on a real story, and it's an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Whether or not it's good, I've heard mixed things from different people.
Okay.
But it does sound interesting. I'm not gonna lie.
A
bear on cocaine. Yeah. Anyway, but then someone was dressed up as the Cocaine Bear and was like messing with Malala while she was just sitting at the Oscars.
It sounds like harassment almost.
That's what I'm saying. It looked like this whoever this guy is just fucking harassing her. Like she's not here for all this bullshit. And Kim was like, "Oh no, it's Cocaine Bear and Malala."
I wonder if it was planned out though. Do you ever think if that stuff is planned out or not?
I feel like it would be planned out if Malala went along with it. She did not go along with it, bro.
What if it was part of the shtick that she wasn't going along with it though? Like, what if
it didn't even feel like that?
It looked like
it felt really like she was like, bro, I'm uncomfortable with this shit. Can you like please stop?
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So other than that, I think the Oscars went like super flyingly well. Yeah. I'm actually kind of like not upset that it went well. I'm glad that it went well. Yeah. But like I'm shocked.
Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Oh, that's it.
That movie is awesome.
There were two movies that swept pretty much every award that came through. All Quiet on the Western Front, which I just saw after the Oscars, and then Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah.
With 6 Academy Awards.
Did it win Best Feature?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It won Best Picture.
Best Picture, yeah.
Along with Best Actress, Best Supporting Actor, Best Supporting Actress, Best Director, and then was it Best No, it wasn't Best Costume. There's another one in there. I forgot where it's coming from, but like just sweeped, bro.
Yeah,
fucking killed the year of 2022.
That we watched in when Jacob was visiting in one of the earlier Starbound episodes, Crusades and Escapades is what we called it.
Yeah,
we reflected on. I don't know if we talked about the movie. Probably the week. No, we did probably talk.
We talked about it probably for a little bit
in that episode. Yeah. And yeah, it was just really fun, really cool, really funny, really well made.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It's also dramatic.
Yeah.
It has a very good, deep, emotional story, but also a very interesting and like I want to say quirky, but that's not quite the word.
It's like silly and serious at the same time.
Exactly.
It
Like
does,
the
a good balance.
plot is weird, but it's
Yeah.
weird enough for you to follow along and like enjoy it because you don't know what's gonna happen
Right.
next.
Yeah.
But then also the emotional story with the characters is there.
But you're still laughing a lot and like.
And there's also
yeah.
moments of like crying. Like it's like a really emotional movie.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was
so-
probably like I loved that movie this year. That was awesome.
Yeah, I'm not against that. I think it clearly earned. I think everyone in the room that night knew Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Everyone
is the movie of that
everywhere
year.
all at once knew that Everything Everywhere
All at Once was going to
the
win
movie.
every award all at once.
Everywhere, all at once.
Yeah, bro. That movie's sweet.
What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, but you said the Batman didn't get nominated for even like soundtrack or anything like
No,
that.
it got nominated for sound,
Oh, okay.
right?
But,
But
it didn't.
not for score.
Oh, I see.
Which is silliness to me because the Batman to me is still has to be at least top 3 for the best scores that year.
Batman was I feel like that it should have at least won something.
And I'll say this,
Yeah.
maybe it didn't get nominated because a third of the music from the Batman is based on other songs, right? The Riddler's theme is just Ave Maria, but dramatic, right? In like a minor key.
Right.
And then the Batman's theme is like heavily based in that one
Nirvana song,
right? Something in the way. In fact, they even mashed up the 2 songs together in the trailer. So I'm thinking maybe because there's a lot of influence in it, they don't want to nominate it. But I'm like, no, because even if you just take the 2/3 that aren't in that
so many
influence,
movies
it's
do that.
fantastic.
So many movies do that.
Do what?
Just like take like their songs, but like if you incorporate them into the score and make them your own, it's kind of different. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I feel like they use the music in their own personal way.
Right.
They didn't just rip it right from where they came from. It was part of the story. So I don't know why it wasn't even nominated. I mean, maybe they didn't. Because what you have to do with these movies, the studio will, like say, hey, this movie should be nominated, and then they'll consider it. So maybe the studio didn't push for the Batman to get best score.
I don't see why they wouldn't.
Maybe Michael Giacchino didn't want to be nominated for that or something. I don't know what the story is behind it.
That would be weird if he like.
I think that he want an Oscar. I mean, they're nice.
Hey, maybe he doesn't.
Maybe he doesn't.
You think there are some artists out there who just like don't? I mean, I'm sure there's some who don't care, but like they would reject an Oscar.
Yes, but it would be for like a personal reason.
Yeah.
Either they feel like they're not good enough and they shouldn't be nominated at all. Sometimes it might be like, look, I already have like 6 Oscars. Do I want to be nominated and take one instead of letting the new kids?
But can you reject an Oscar?
Can you reject an Oscar? If you're already nominated, I'm assuming you want the Oscar. So
what if you don't?
If you don't put your name in the hat, you're not gonna get an Oscar. You know what I mean?
Did you put your name in the Goblet of Fire?
I would put my name in the Goblet of Fire. Shit, man. I would gladly put my name in the Goblet of Fire. Best song of the year. Give it to me. Fuck everybody else.
Speaking of the Batman.
What do you?
I was just
Batman should have gotten song of the year.
No, I was referring to Cedric Diggory because Robert Pattinson in the Goblet of Fire. That's
that's a good point. Actually, that's a good point. But yeah, so the Batman only got nominated for best sound, which I agree with. I think the sound was very good, but it didn't win.
Which one won?
I think it was All Quiet on the Western Front.
Oh, I haven't seen that.
Which I have seen. The sound is good. I don't think that's a bad choice.
Oh, is that the one that I walked in on you watching and I said the sound was really good?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, I guess the sound was really good.
Let me just make sure your Oscar winners.
Seems about right.
All Quiet on the Western Front also won for best score, which I kind of disagree with. I feel like the score, it's not excellent. Anyone that gets nominated at these things are excellent, but it wasn't that excellent where I feel like it should be given to them. This guy won over John Williams for The Fableman, and given I haven't seen that movie yet, so I can't say that automatically that John Williams' score is better.
Right.
But this score for All Quiet on the Western Front is so it's so barren of anything interesting.
You know, well, we talked about this a little bit, but like the politics that go behind the nominations for the Oscars is a different story.
I'm sorry, Top Gun Maverick won for best sound.
Oh, right. I've heard good things about that one.
I've also heard good things about this movie.
But yeah, the politics behind what gets nominated. You were kind of telling me about this earlier in the week.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to go into that? That was interesting, I thought.
About what again?
How something gets nominated for an Oscar. Shaking hands, going to the
how something wins for so for the other category, and this is usually how it works for the Oscars, right? Each category has a bunch of people within that industry that vote on what gets to be like not only nominated, but what gets to win. Right. So let's say you're a composer. You did the composing for The Batman, right? You say, hey, I'm putting my name in the hat to be nominated. A bunch of other composers in the industry. So John Williams, freaking Hans Zimmer, all the composers that work in Hollywood that are also in the Academy. They will listen to your music. I'm guessing they've watched the movie. They'll be like, all right, fire. They'll like it. And if they push you, they'll vote you as the winner, and then you win. That's how it works for all the categories except Best Picture.
But wait, what if you are John Williams and one of your movies is up for?
See, I'm not in the Academy, so I don't know the nuances of that. But my guess is if you are actively, like, if your name is in the hat, you can't vote. I'm guessing that's how it works. And then all the other composers just judge you.
I wonder.
But yeah, usually, unlike the Grammys, the Oscars are actually pretty fair when it comes to the specific categories. Like the actors, it's all a bunch of other actors that are judging the actors. For the directors, it's a bunch of directors judging the best director.
You still have to know people to be able to showcase your film, though. It's not like there's going to be some like indie film made in the middle of nowhere. It's going to get discovered by John Williams unless there's a connect to John Williams.
Well, that's what I'm trying to get to.
Right, yeah.
It's usually pretty fair, except when it comes to Best Picture. Best Picture is a different story on how they vote. And not even I know how they do it.
Yeah.
I had a professor that is part of the Academy, and he could only loosely explain what was going on.
So he voted and stuff for
he can vote.
What department? Film?
Producing.
He's
a producer, so he gets to vote for Best Picture, I believe. But there's a weird nuance thing to it.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you a story, right? So this is way back in, I don't remember when these two movies came out, but they're older movies now. Saving Private Ryan and Shakespeare in Love. Now, anyone who knows movies knows Saving Private Ryan is like, it's this movie with Gwyneth Paltrow, and I think it's about how like she falls in love with this guy while they're rehearsing for a play, but they're also like the love interests in the play. Something about that. I only watched that movie for like 20 minutes and then I turned it off.
Interesting.
Yeah. Anyway, but
it wasn't good. You didn't like it?
It's not that I didn't like it. It's just I feel
like I would like that. That sounds kind of interesting.
I'm gonna be honest. I was kind of bored.
I
was like, this movie isn't for me. You know?
Fair enough.
It's a very romantic movie. Do you think you
didn't give it enough of a shot though?
I don't think I gave it enough of a shot then. My attention span for like older movies was not as strong as it is now.
Right.
Where like now I have a lot of patience and I'll give every movie.
You said Gwyneth Paltrow. How old could the movie have been?
I want to say 2000s. Like 2000s. I feel like it's 2006.
Oh, okay.
I want to say 2006 is when the movie came out.
But what were you saying about? So there's two movies.
So these are the two movies, and they're both nominated for Best Picture, right? Everyone this year knew Saving Private Ryan, which is directed by Steven Spielberg, is like one of the best movies, just like ever. It's like it's up there.
Everybody knows.
Everyone knows Saving Private Ryan.
It's a war movie, if you know. Yeah,
exactly. I think everyone in that team, they felt pretty secure that like they're gonna get Best Picture this year, right? But when the Oscars was airing, right, Shakespeare in Love was the one that actually won for Best Picture, and everyone was like, "Bro, how the what happened?" And allegedly, because I know some people in the Academy and they were there at the time and saw what was going on, the producers and the actors for Shakespeare in Love were going to all the pre-Oscars party shaking hands with everyone in the academy, meeting it with everybody, saying, "Hey, like if you like." I don't think it was as blunt as this, but it's like, hey, if you vote for us, I can get you to meet Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, wow.
Right? So it
Wow.
became beneficial for people to just vote for Shakespeare in Love because they were doing so much in like the secret networking.
Just like politics.
Exactly. They were doing the political move of doing the handshakes and the meetings and the parties and blah, blah, blah.
That's
blah,
the
blah.
politics of the West Coast.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's how it works. It's really the handshakes. That's like it's that's the power out here. So by the time
it's the same on the East Coast, just different industry.
Yes. Yeah. They're politics instead of movies.
Yeah. Interesting.
But yeah, so by the time the Oscars came around, they won. So then, and given Shakespeare in Love is a Harvey Weinstein movie, so if that gives any picture of how sticky Hollywood was at the time and kind of is now, they went up there being like, "Oh my God, we won Shakespeare in Love!" Yada da da. Meanwhile, it's like everyone
bought their way to win.
They kind of bought their way to winning by doing all these kind of deals in the background.
But what if it's all like that?
It could be, but from what I heard, every category except for the best picture, because the best picture is the big one, right? And everyone gets to kind of vote in that. That one is a lot more handshakey BS in there because if you're a lower person in the academy, you can get a chance to meet higher people in the academy. There's a lot more going on there. Whereas for each of the different categories, you're literally being judged by other directors if you're a director, or other actors if you're an actor. There's no other people in the way
that's cool that it's like individual artists and stuff like that. That's cool.
Yeah.
Like or that is like the people that are doing it, right?
Exactly. So I guess you could try to shake hands with every director to try and get your vote up there, but I think the Oscars are a little bit different now. I've seen a lot of movies that in classic Oscar days would never even be nominated, winning. Like international movies winning Best Picture. That's insane. Ever since Parasite. I think the Oscars are starting to grow.
Parasite's fantastic.
Parasite is absolutely
I should watch that again. I should watch that
again. They also win
Best I've seen it twice, I think. Maybe 3 times.
There's also like a category of Best Foreign Film. I'm curious if they won that.
Yeah, I wonder. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, we didn't get to watch Hamlet yet.
It turns out we were so wrong on a lot of those things. First of all, Denzel Washington did not star in the movie Hamlet. He starred in the movie Macbeth, the tragedy of Macbeth.
Yes.
All right. A. And also
when did that come out?
2021? 2020? Something like that. It was very recent. Let me see here.
I think I remember hearing about this.
The tragedy of Macbeth.
Because there's a few
2021. It came out.
I'm pretty sure there's like a David Tennant Hamlet, and I'm pretty sure there's a Patrick Stewart Macbeth.
There's a Patrick Stewart Macbeth. I've seen it.
Yeah, and I think I've seen bits of the David Tennant Hamlet too. So a lot of actors have dipped their toes in the
those are famous Shakespeare
in like
plays.
Play movies.
Oh, and that's the second or third thing I wanted to say. He also didn't direct the tragedy of Macbeth. It's a different director.
Oh, just different.
It's a Coen brother.
Oh,
okay. Which Coen brother is it actually?
I'd be curious then to see
because Joel Coen.
Denzel did such a good job with Fences. Like, I was excited to watch that on the premise that it was Denzel directing.
Yeah, me too. But he didn't direct that one. Apparently, Fences is his big directorial debut. He hasn't done.
Well, he knocked it out of the park for a debut. Is that actually his directing debut?
He might have done a couple movies before.
I was gonna say that would be very surprising.
That's his banger. That's definitely his banger.
That was like so good.
Denzel Washington. But you know who else had a directing debut this last year? Michael B. Jordan with Creed 3.
Oh, I didn't see it, but I enjoyed Creed 1 and 2. I think I remember enjoying Creed 2 more than Creed 1. But I love the Rocky movies. Those are classics.
The Rocky movies are classic. And also, from what I hear, Creed 3 is like very good.
Really good? Yeah, I love Michael B. Jordan. Ever since I saw him in Chronicle back in the day.
I'm a little shocked because it's his first one, actually, so I doubt.
You know what I saw him in first? He was in Friday Night Lights. You know the TV show, the football TV? I think it was a movie, but like it's also a football TV show.
Friday Night Lights.
Friday-
Yes, the
yeah.
football show. Yeah.
And like he was like, there was like two teams. The first 2 seasons like one team, and then the second 3 seasons it's like a new team with new casts because it's like a high school.
Mhm.
And like Michael B. Jordan was like the quarterback of like the second team, so he was in seasons like 3, 4, and 5. He was like, yeah. And then I saw him in Chronicle, which is like a superhero movie in like 2012, I think I want to say. And that movie's awesome because it was like right before like superhero movies went crazy.
Yeah.
And like it was like a dark twist on it, kind of like almost like Blair Witch-esque. Like it's like a found footage type movie.
Chronicle is really good.
I highly recommend Chronicle. And that's when that's the first movie I saw Michael B. Jordan in. And then Friday Night Lights was the TV show that I saw him in first. But
then it became a superstar.
Now he's like a superstar. Yeah, he's really.
Now he's huge.
I mean, he's bro. Yeah. And we rewatched Black Panther right before we saw Wakanda Forever.
Yeah,
and he was great as Killmonger.
He's fantastic.
Like
in that
one
movie.
of the best MCU villains, in my opinion. In the MCU.
He has to be at least top 5. Probably even higher than that.
Yeah, he was good.
He was fantastic. Also, I saw him in the Creed films.
Yeah,
except for Creed 3.
Fruitvale Station. He was. Really
I haven't
good.
actually seen Fruitvale Station.
I saw that.
It's on my list.
Yeah, that one's intense, but it's really good. That's an older one too, I think now.
What would you consider as older?
Our like
because Fruitvale Station came out after 2012.
I think it's 2015. Yeah. Like our versions of. Let me check. See if I got that right. Our versions of old movies now is starting to get warped.
Yeah, it's like, what do you consider an old movie? Because for me, I consider
2013 actually.
2013.
Fruitvale Station, and I think let me check. I think Chronicle 2012.
Dang, that was a minute ago.
Yeah, Chronicle is 2012, and then let me see Friday Night Lights. I'm gonna see like how many episodes Michael B. Jordan was in. Okay.
Because like for me, old movies are anything in the 2000s and up, because that's 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Give or take 20 years ago. But
yeah, it's kind of confusing, isn't it?
It is confusing.
But hey, gotta do what you gotta do.
It's a different time, man. It's a different time. But anyway,
looks like he's been acting for a long time.
Michael B.
Yeah.
I'm assuming most people in the film industry have been working their way up to climb up that ladder. You know what I mean? Speaking of people that climb up the ladder, 2 actors I want to talk about because of the Oscars. This first one, Ki Kwan. Oh my God, bro! I love that he won that Oscar. Is it weird that
you mean the which Oscar?
For supporting actor?
Oh yeah.
Ki Kwan. I feel like I can tell in his face that he's just been like.
He played who did he play again in Everything Everywhere All at Once?
He played the father.
Yes.
I forgot the father's name, but he played the
dad.
He
was great.
He was fantastic in that movie, and I just feel like because he's been in Hollywood for like 30 years. He's been working so long, you know what I mean?
I know. It was
finally
so cool
getting
to
like
see
recognition
him
for the type of actor he is.
And Harrison Ford, like
getting to get back together again at the Oscars. I think they planned that out because they knew he was.
They must have planned that out because it was like so like advertised. Hold on, I'm trying to find out which episodes of or which seasons of Friday Night Lights.
I'll go ahead. I'll go on my Ki Kwan spiel while you do that.
Yeah, you do that.
I feel like it is such an honor to get an Oscar, but it's an even better honor to see actors and directors and filmmakers that have worked so hard and earned it.
Yeah.
You know, because Ki Kwan, I can tell he's just so happy just to be here.
He seems like
he doesn't have any ego. He's chill.
Right.
Like he just put the work in. Is happy to be a part of this greater Hollywood ensemble, and like he's wants to be here for the long haul.
This is taking me too long, so I'm sorry, Friday Night Lights fans. But yeah, I agree. He didn't seem. He just seemed sort of
so humble.
Yeah, he seemed.
It's hard when you come from Indiana Jones.
Although I didn't watch, I didn't see like the full Oscars. I saw the highlights, so I saw that, and I saw him hugging with Harrison Ford and stuff. And,
Brendan Fraser also won for Best Actor for The Whale,
and he has his comeback story too. I don't know his full story actually, but I know.
You want to hear about it?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
I'll share it with you. So this is allegedly what happened. So Brendan Fraser is working his way up in Hollywood, eventually lands the Mummy movies, which obviously are like the biggest movies at the time.
I haven't seen them.
Really?
Yeah.
Are one of them?
Is Tom Cruise in one of them?
That's He's in the most recent remake.
I remember the trailer for that. That's like all like yeah.
At the time, though, Brendan Fraser's mummy movies were crazy, right?
Okay,
so he's
yeah.
like he's becoming slowly like one of the biggest actors in Hollywood.
Yeah.
And then this creepy old ass producer, right, or executive producer, I'm not sure, but one of the higher ups in Hollywood was like, "Hey, I want to touch your butt." Or something like that, right? He sexually assaulted Brendan Fraser. And Brendan Fraser's like, bro, I'm not sticking around for this bullshit.
When did the Mummy movies come out?
Like the 90s, bro.
Oh.
They're like old movies.
Yeah.
Well, not old. No, they're old movies.
Some people listening might be like, oh, that's so old. And then other people are like, dude, that's not that long ago.
It's like, nah, bro. If I can say it's older than 20 years, it has to be considered old because that's literally a child turning into an adult. That's fair. You know what I mean? 20 years is fair.
I mean, it's subjective.
No, it's not subjective. If someone from the time that you, like whatever the time period is, can become an adult, that's old. Because they have no recollection or memory of that ever happening.
You say that, though, as if the moment somebody turns 18, they magically become...
no.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm trying to put it in a matter of perspective. Because if you're born after something occurs and you're already an adult, it is not in your memory.
But the definition of an adult is different from country to country.
Is 18 not the universal thing for an adult? No. I know you can drink and drive like at 16 or some other places, yada yada.
Like, what is an adult?
If you're 20, you're a young adult.
Let me Google. Like,
if you can fuck, you're almost an adult. What is the
worldwide average for adulthood? Like, what does that even mean?
What's the average? I bet the average is probably around 18, 20.
I'm actually intrigued just to Google that and see what that means.
Go ahead.
Anyway, it's kind of like a. Okay, the global median average has increased from. Oh, whoa. Wait, what? The global breakdown of age shows that around a quarter, around 10%. I don't understand what this is telling me. The global median age.
Oh, no.
That's like how old you live or something.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, wait.
Most people are the age of something.
Age of adulthood.
What is the global legal age of adulthood?
There might not even be a statistic on that. It's kind of like a funny statistic. Most countries do have it set to 18, but some jurisdictions have a higher and others lower. The word majority here refers to having greater years and being full of age as opposed to blah, blah, blah.
Let's average it. Right?
Yeah, no, 18 is fine.
I'm just saying, I was just
oh, whoa, wait a second. No way.
What?
Finland. Oh wait, no. This is just this is not answering the question that I'm googling.
I see. And we're like, let's even push it up and say like
my point. You get my point though, right? It's like what like.
I say by the age
to somebody who's 60, like even though if you're 20, you're an adult, like you're still a kid.
For me, if you're a certain age where you can start affecting the world, right? It's not that you're developing anymore. You're developing the world around you.
Yeah,
you're an adult.
But it's also like when your country, like you could argue that like the moment that you have to be financially independent or something is what marks adulthood, right? But then some people can go their whole lives without becoming financially independent.
Yeah.
So does that mean that they never become an adult?
No, because financial independence does not define. It's not the make or breaker if you're an adult or not.
Right. I'm just saying for people that
I say the age where you can become responsible.
But what is responsible?
Another mark.
What is responsible mean?
Responsible means if you do something, it's your fault, not your parents.
Oh, you mean like legal ramifications?
Not just legal ramifications. It's also just like general like consequences for even with like relationships, right? If you do something to somebody, are they going to blame your parents or are they going to blame you?
Dude, but when you're a kid and you get in a fight with a kid at school, the kid doesn't blame your parents.
The adults blame the parents.
That's not what matters. It matters with the kid that you got to interact with every day. The kid blames you still.
These are kids. They don't have a say.
But they're the kids.
They don't matter.
They do matter if they're who you see every day.
No, I'm not saying that like, oh, like another kid is not going to see you as like a yada, yada, yada. But they always put the responsibility on the parent. But when you hit a certain age, they don't do that anymor. They put it on you.
They being the
society.
They being the government.
No, society.
Society is the government.
No. That depends.
It does depend.
That
But
depends.
what I'm arguing, do you see what I'm arguing?
Either or, it doesn't matter. Both of them.
But it's an interesting question.
It is an interesting question.
Yeah. So it's
What
like,
defines an adult? But I think
well, I'm just saying, like, legally
there's an
speaking,
average.
in this country, right? Like,
Yeah.
if you can get away with a lot until you're 18, and then like you're 18 or whatever, and then suddenly, like, you know, because you start jaywalking and they start arresting you because now you're an adult, and like, you know, they were going to give your parents or say they were going to give up your parents a ticket, but then they give you, because you jaywalked, but then they give you a ticket with the moment you turn 18, because like magically there's like a sensor that you're an adult now. You know what I'm saying?
No, I understand the idea
Some
of
people
like
don't even
where's
know
the
their
line.
birthdays
What do you mean by this?
if they're adopted or something.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Yeah, like they don't know the day they were
I'm not
born.
saying that there's a fine line, but
Yeah.
there's definitely an average. If you took all these different markers,
Yeah.
there's definitely a
Well,
point
they
where you're an
say-
adult.
They say that your brain stops developing at like 25 years old. About.
Okay.
So like I would argue that adulthood would almost, if anything, would be like 25.
We can take it as high as you want it. 25.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm averaging all these different markers. They all are about the same.
And I might be wrong.
20
I might be
years, give or
wrong on
take.
that, but let's say 25 just for fun.
We can say 25,
Yeah.
right? If you are at this, and this is one of the more like further back ages,
Mhm.
right? 25 years. If you can't recall something in that recollection because it's beyond that, and you're at an age where you can like affect the world, it's old. It's old. The Spider-Man movies, all three of them. Well, the first one and the second one.
Some
Old.
could say if you're still alive, it's like new.
It's bullshit. No, it's bullshit. Because if you're 80, no.
New to you if you just discovered it.
No, because it happened in the past. It affected the world in a previous time.
Yeah, but don't
a
you
different
remember
era.
what our AP Lit teacher told us? That arts is present. It's in present tense. You talk about art in present tense.
Yeah.
So like, isn't art like always happening? Like you can always consume a movie.
You can consume a
So just
movie
because
at
the movie
any
is
time.
made old.
No. Not just because it's made old. It's also about its effect on the world. Right?
Oh, that's a good point. That's
what I'm trying to
That's a
say.
good point.
Art is made at a particular era,
Yeah,
right? Where things are happening, right? The
Yeah.
German expressionism happened because of things of its
that's
time.
a good point. That's a good point.
If
Yeah.
that time isn't now, it's old.
Interesting.
That's what
so
I'm
you're
trying to
saying
say.
that if the social ramifications are still actively noticeable, then it's
Not even-
Or no, if they're no longer actively noticeable, then it is old.
Yeah.
But what if it is something that still has noticeable social ramifications, even though
It could
ancient?
influence new things that
Yeah.
have new ramifications,
But
but
what?
that's not its that's a new thing that was influenced by
But
it.
what defines a social ramification? Like what? You know what I'm saying? Like what?
I
what-
say-
how close does it have to be?
And I'm marking it as average
25
20 years,
years.
25 years,
25
average, bro.
years.
Generation.
So-
These TikTok era
Yeah.
generation kids, they don't know nothing about no freaking Terminator 1. You feel me?
I understand 100% what you're
That's
saying,
what I'm
but
trying to
I'm
say,
more
man.
so arguing the line of like, who are you to say and who is somebody else to say? You know
I'm
what
saying that there's no definitive line.
Right.
Right? I agree with that.
That's all that
because,
I'm saying. Yeah.
because we develop gradually. There's no line,
yeah.
but there's definitely an average line.
Yes.
And it's all the same. It's about
I would
20
say
years.
25 is good because it's like
25 is as
when
far
your-
back as
That's
it
when your
goes.
brain like technically or from what I've heard stops like developing because then it's like
Right.
you're an adult. So if you want to talk like childhood to an adult, like 25 is what makes the most sense to me as a actual.
But there are other markers, like what about puberty?
Also, you could even say something like getting out of high school because then you're kind of that's like a.
That's a transitional
that's
period
also,
from
like-
grade school into.
But then you're
careers.
ignoring those who don't even go to high school. You know what I'm saying? It's like then it's
what do you
like
mean they don't even go to high school?
well, there's still people everywhere that don't go to high
Right, but
school.
what's the legal age to work?
Depends on the country.
Depends on the country.
Depends on the
So
state.
I'm just taking an average of all these different things that you could use as markers, and they
Yeah.
all are still around the same age.
Right. You're taking a average like on You're taking a presumed or assumed average.
I'm taking an assumed
An
an
guesstimate.
educated guesstimated average.
Educated guesstimated average. I like that.
Off of all of these different markers.
Estimated
And it's
guesstimated
relatively
average.
around the same. It's 20, 25, 15, that 20 era.
20 to 25. I'll take it.
I feel like 25 is on the later half. I'll say that.
Well, 25 is when like apparently it's when,
Right,
like,
from one marker. I'm talking
Yeah.
about every other marker if you included all those
yeah.
together.
Yeah, because I mean it's a good question,
I mean?
right? Because like if 25 is like a biological adulthood,
Yeah.
You know, you could equally argue that 21 is a social adulthood because you can drink. You know what I'm saying?
And I'll say 18 because you got to go to war. Like there's
right,
there's a
or
bunch
you
of
have to
different
sign up
markers.
for the draft.
Exactly.
Or you could say it's 25 because you can rent a car.
Exactly.
In the
or
US,
16 because you can drive.
In
right?
our specific situation, in
Yeah.
Maryland, 16 is when you can drive. I think a lot of states it's not even like that.
Yeah,
Like I don't even know what it is for California. Maybe it's that.
perhaps.
I don't know.
Perhaps it's that.
Yeah,
Anyway,
that was interesting.
That was interesting.
That was an interesting conversation. Anyway, what were we saying though? That was like a
forgot,
side
man.
point that we got.
I was trying to say an average estimated age. The Mummy movies.
Yes.
God, back on the Oscars. So, the Mummy movies came out after the estimated average for adulthood.
Yeah.
Or before. So it's technically old movies. But what happened to Brendan Fraser, which is why he stopped working in Hollywood?
Sean's opinion, it's an old movie. That's
It's not in my opinion.
It's still the opinion.
Okay, it is my opinion, but it's off of other things. It's
Just 'cause it's an
guesstimated from the world.
Just because it's an guesstimated
Opinion?
does not make it not an opinion.
No, it is an opinion, but it's a backed opinion. Does that make sense?
I can get behind that, but
It's
it's
a
an
backed
assumed,
opinion.
it's
It's
an
assumed,
estimated, guesstimated.
But it's
backed
because you
opinion.
can't actually define these things. So we're coming with a general definition.
Which is all you can do.
Exactly.
Right.
Right. I'm not having this conversation with you, god damn it. Brendan Fraser and his tragic story in Hollywood. Can I get back to that? Can I get back to that?
Yes.
Jesus. Anyway. Where was I?
Anyway.
So these old ass movies.
That was good. That was a good one. I like that. That was good. That was good.
But around the time, it was like after the last Mummy movie they did. I don't remember when that movie came out, but it was a while ago.
Yeah.
He was like in like a meeting or like a party or something, and like this creepy ass old producer was like, "Hey, Brendan Fraser, let me touch your butt or something."
Sounds like
something creepy.
Sounds like what we've heard about Hollywood.
Yeah, exactly. There was an old producer that tried to sexually assault Brendan Fraser.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if he did or did not. So I'm not gonna act like I know, but from what the stories, it sounds like he might have actually sexually assaulted Brendan Fraser. And Brendan Fraser was like, "Bro, I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not with this sexual assault.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have to respect me." And he's like, "Oh, well, fuck you then. You're never working in Hollywood again."
Oh, wow.
And so for decades, right, Brendan Fraser could not land a job in Hollywood because this producer had pull like that.
Oh, wow.
He was like, "Yo, Brendan Fraser,
Who was the
don't
producer?
hire him." I don't remember his name. You can search it up if you look up the story.
Yeah.
But he passed away recently. He was really old then, and he just like aged out in like the last like 5 years or something, right? So now Brendan Fraser can come back to Hollywood because the guy that was blacklisting him died.
Wait, so the guy literally blacklisted him to the grave?
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is why you're seeing more Brendan Fraser movies now and not.
I thought
in
he would have.
2010s.
I thought he would have found some heroic way to like get his justice on him in the court system, but it just didn't happen.
It just didn't happen, man. He couldn't return to Hollywood.
It just tells you it's just so messed up sometimes. He
It's
literally had to
really
wait for the guy
fucked
to
up.
die because the guy could screw him over for that long.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's evil out here, and
Yeah.
I would like to think that Hollywood is better now than it was back then. But I'm
Yeah.
sure things like this still happen where you just get blacklisted because you won't be fucking touched by another.
Yeah. I mean,
human
we
being.
studied a lot of the blacklisting stuff with the whole, Red Scare and all that stuff in film school. I'm sure you had to take some classes on that too.
Yeah.
Or like Orson Welles, like for Citizen Kane, he got like, I think he was one of the ones that got blacklisted. Like they thought he was communist or something like that. And then there was like the Hollywood 10. Do you remember this? Like the Hollywood 10. And like they all like so like
y'all went to
it
that
was during
Russian
the
school?
Soviet. It was like during like the Soviet War or something. So they were like there was like the Red Scare, and they thought all these like filmmakers were like sending communist messages and stuff like that. So they or something like I might be wrong.
There was
I'm
a
maybe
lot
telling
of
it wrong.
people during that Red Scare era. There was a couple of filmmakers that came from a specific school that taught method acting.
Yeah.
Method acting is it was a technique designed by a Russian.
Oh,
That he was like teaching other people.
okay.
And so I think he taught Marlon Brando about the method acting and
Yeah.
But a lot of people in that circle, because they had a close relation with someone that was Russian, they were like, "Oh, all of you are communists," and so they got
that type of thing was happening all the time. I mean, that's why they compare the Crucible, right? Is like it's like about the Red Scare and the Hollywood and all that stuff, but it's also about the Salem witch trials.
Yeah.
So it's like the comparison there. Which is why people love the Crucible.
Yeah, because people also like yes, there was that, but also people were just using the Red Scare to get people up out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like communists. Sorry,
right?
Get them out of Hollywood.
Same thing. Like, oh, she's a witch. My neighbor, I don't like her that much. She, she's a little too loud at night. She's a witch.
Yeah, and it sucks. It sucks that Hollywood. I mean, it sucks, and also it doesn't suck. But it sucks that Hollywood is not a government job that can kind of like protect you, because it seems like if word of mouth happens, you could easily get out of here.
I think that's part. I think that's at least part of the thing that unions are supposed to help with.
There's not enough unions in Hollywood.
There's
SAG.
No, there's still unions. It just takes a long time to get in them. And then
but not. I feel like there needs to be one for producers.
Is the actors one.
Huh?
Equity is the actors.
Equity is the actors one.
Yeah.
I thought it was SAG. Never mind.
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. I heard recently that
there are some unions. I don't think there's enough unions.
Probably not. I don't know. I don't know enough about.
I think every group needs a union. Yeah. I think they need to be asking for more. Yeah. So
it's hard to get in them too. That's the tricky part.
That's true. It is also kind of like not an exclusive club.
But once you're in, it sounds like it's very helpful.
Once you're in, it's a lot safer because film, because it's an art form, you can kind of just get screwed over a lot. And even if you're in these protections, right, there's still mad producers like what happened with Brendan Fraser that will just get your ass up out of here.
Well, art's also a weird one for unions because it's like, what are you hiring the artist for? Like if you're hiring the artist for like to do a general job of how do I say, like right or wrong, like if they have to like recreate something in exact form, then I can see how you could hire anybody for that job. But if it's like you hire an artist that is like an up-and-coming artist to do a mural, you can't hire 8 artists to do the same mural.
No, that's the thing about art.
You could, but it wouldn't look the same.
That's where the talent part comes in, where every artist is specific to what they do.
If you think about it, in any union or in any industry, every person is going to do it their own way. Every business is going to try and make it perfect their way, right? Or maybe they won't, but I mean, I think a lot will.
Instagram Reels versus TikTok.
It's actually all the same because you're still hiring one person for the job, and everybody's going to do it slightly differently. Maybe maybe it varies here on a scale, but it's all kind of the same. You know what I'm saying?
I think it's more wildly different with art.
But you're still hiring like a business to do a job their way.
Yes.
Yeah. Either way. If it's a person, if it's like a business, it's still like
the idea is that you trust this group or business or talent to do what you think they do excellently. Right. And then they will hopefully come and return that money or whatever you're paying them with an excellent job.
Right.
No matter what the job is.
Yeah.
But it's really a trust. That's why it's really hard to start up really big franchises because you're not sure if you're giving the keys to your IP to the right talents and agencies and people.
That's tricky. You gotta get people that you want around and stuff like that.
Exactly. So anyway, back on the Oscars.
Did you finish? You told Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser's story is really tragic. Hollywood is like it can be a very evil and sick place. Hell, it might even still be. But But I'm glad he was able to win Best Actor. I think
Yeah.
it told the world, like, look,
What was the movie he was in?
The Whale.
I haven't seen it yet.
I heard that, like, The Whale is, like, the movie is on his shoulders. Like, he's holding the movie together.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see it at some point.
Yeah.
It's on my list of movies to watch.
And we gotta watch Macbeth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on the list too.
Yeah.
It's on Apple TV though.
Oh, that's the one thing.
Yeah, look, I don't want to say that I'm against streaming services.
Well, you have to buy the Apple TV, but Apple TVs are like they're good. I've used one before, but they're like
they're also just there's a subscription service. You can just like search it up or something.
Oh, I thought you needed the remote.
No, I don't think you need that.
Like the box?
You can get the literal box, but they also are just a streaming service.
Oh.
It's like Paramount Plus.
Oh, then we have to get another streaming service.
Yeah, and I can't fade that.
So many streaming services.
That's what I'm saying. Like, look, I was cool with one.
Still cheaper than cable. It's about the same.
Not with the amount of streaming services that there are. Because Netflix is $20. Oh.
But different cable packages.
16. Huh?
Different cable packages had different amounts of channels for different prices. It's like
that's a good point.
It's like the same. It's just like which ones are you choosing?
I think cable is still worse because cable is like a base package of a bunch of networks that you don't want.
Exactly.
Whereas streaming is still something that they all are things that.
But it has a lot of content that you don't want too.
Yeah, that's the thing. And it's like, look, like it's cheap to have one, but when you have up to like 7, right?
Yeah.
Because I think there's 7 out there. There's Apple TV, there's Paramount, there's Netflix, HBO, Disney.
Yeah.
Hulu, Peacock.
Yeah. Here's what I don't understand.
That's $70.
Here's what I don't understand.
It adds up.
If somebody could explain this to me, it would really be interesting. Like, so from what I understand from like doing like film school and studies and stuff was that the reason that there aren't like, the reason there aren't like Warner Brothers Cinema is because the distributor or whatever of the movie, they can't distribute their own movies anymore.
It's a legal doctrine, the Paramount decision, right?
Give us the rundown.
Okay, so what happened back in the day was that all the different studios had their own theaters, right? Fox had Fox Theater, Warner Brothers had Warner Brothers Theater, and then Disney had Disney Theater, right? Just for example. And it was the issue with it was that they were all only showing their own movies from their own theaters,
right?
And they would only be showing like maybe one really good movie that year from the studio, but also all these trash ass horrible movies that nobody wanted to see.
And I think it was because there was some deal where it was kind of like they to other theaters. For example, like I think if they were going to give them to a random startup business theater, they would sell the movies in packages.
Yeah.
So it would be like, yes, you can have, Jimmy Stewart's rear window, but you also have to show like these 4 other like really cheap
trash ass movies
that we made because we're, going to give you this movie.
Yeah.
So then like Disney gets to show like 5 movies in one theater when they only really spent a lot of budget on one. I think that's kind of what happened, right? Or something like that.
I think it was. I remember there was an issue with just like the movies that they were showing were actually hurting all the theaters because they were only showing like one good movie
and the rest
were horrible.
Yeah.
Right. And then also think about locations. Maybe people are only close to a Fox theater, so they can only watch Fox movies.
Yeah.
So it got to a really bad point where it was like, look, this is terrible. You can't be monopolizing not only making the movies, right?
The movie,
but also showing
the movies in the theater. You basically
exactly. You're paying for them, you're making for them, and then you're showing them all on your own. Like you can't do that
because while other like trash, like if you have to show, like trash movies to show one good movie, you're taking the other theaters away from the other distributors.
Exactly.
So it's like competition, and then it's monopoly.
It wasn't promoting competition. So the government stepped in, and this was an era where the government actually would stop monopolies when they were happening. They were like, all right, look, let's break it up. All right. If you are going to make the movie, you cannot also show the movie in a theater.
Right.
That you can't, the distributor
and
the producer cannot be the same.
Right.
And also the exhibitor, there's 3 steps to it. And you can only pick one.
So why can Netflix make and distribute their own movies?
And this is where my beef with Netflix
Yeah.
started. I'm willing to publicly say this.
But
'cause
now
I hate
Disney is
Netflix,
doing that
dude.
too.
See, but Netflix started it though.
Because
Because Netflix was only streaming other people's movies.
So do they just
like
AMC?
AMC?
Did they just is that how you're not supposed to film in LA, but iPhones can get away with it? Like you can get away with it if you're filming with iPhones?
Well, the legal document only specifically mentions theaters. There was nothing because streaming did not exist, right? So there's nothing in that legal document about streaming. So Netflix, as a distributor, right? Because they're distributing and streaming all these different movies and TV shows. They're like, look, we're not making enough money from this, and we're gonna eventually go bankrupt. So we have to just show our own movies because then we can have them forever, and there's no licensing fees, no dealing with other companies. We can do it all by ourselves. So they made their own content first, right? And then Disney and HBO and Fox and Paramount, they were like, look, wait, if you can make your own movies, dude, we can stream our own movies.
The industry is the thing taking movie theaters out of business.
Yes.
Because they found a loophole in the monopoly rule through COVID, basically.
Yeah.
Because they had to get movies to people at home.
Yeah.
That's wild.
No, it's a changing world because, I mean, back in the day, right, people would watch things at a certain time, right? You have a theater, they're playing a movie at 7, you got to be there at 7 to watch it. You want to watch the NFL, every game's at a certain time.
Movie theaters aren't packed like they used to be. I mean, they are when you go to like Spider-Man, but they're not when you go to anything else.
That's the thing. But now people want to watch stuff when they have time, on their own leisure, not when a certain time comes up. They want to make time out of their week for it. They just want to have time and then watch it when they want to. So streaming is just so easy and it's so popular. It's a technology they didn't have back then.
But doesn't it hurt your soul that that movies are starting to be taken out of the sort of how do I say, like, oasis of a theater?
It's sad because I'm seeing every passing day there are more and more things designed specifically to go straight to streaming and not to a theater, right? And all these bigger name brands are all on streaming, right? So all the families, they don't want to spend money to go to a theater to watch some boohoo independent movie that they've never heard of. They want to stay home and watch freaking, I don't know, The Mandalorian or something like that, right? So it's hurting theaters because the only movies that are selling are franchises, right? The Avengers sells, Harry Potter sells, anything with a name or an IP, right?
The ones that are made for theaters. I mean, I think somebody told me, and I might have mentioned this on a prior episode too, but somebody told me they were watching No Way Home at home. A Spider-Man No Way Home at home. And and when a few characters popped up, there was like crowd pause.
Yeah.
Like the character was like, here I am. Like it's like a sitcom in the early 2000s waiting for like the added audience clapping, you know? And it's like, whoa. It's like, that's like a theater thing.
They designed it for theaters.
Yeah.
Which is, it's good that they designed it for theaters because it meant people had to go see it in the theater.
But the shtick comes from TV, which is at home.
The shtick does come from TV actually,
which is weird.
But it's designed because the audience altogether is supposed to be like applauding. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, woo! You know
exactly.
What I mean? So,
exactly. Yeah.
But the issue with this,
but the TV one is like a fake audience usually. It used to be real.
No, the difference is that on TV they would record the audience applauding and then put it in the actual show.
But then you go back to the earlier sitcoms or like Days of Our Lives. I don't actually even know if Days of Our Lives was one of those, but where they was like a film in front of a live studio audience, and that's where the clapping concept came from, right?
Oh, were they not recording it back then? I don't know enough about TV history.
No, I think I don't know either, so don't quote me. But I think what I always thought was that they used to do like recorded in front of a live studio audience.
Oh yeah.
And then that's where the clapping was like real clapping.
Right.
And then it became so popular to hear the clapping, like the TV viewers at home were used to it, and it was cool because like a live crowd. They just started adding in the clapping to sitcoms
in post,
to tell you where to laugh, right?
Yeah.
But then in movies like No Way Home, where they're like they know there's gonna be a live audience, they just leave it blank. or in shows like Brooklyn Nine-Nine or The Office, they leave it blank and make it almost either awkwardly silent so that you laugh, or they're just not trying to tell you where, they're trying to imply where to laugh without a crowd.
Yeah.
To each his own. It doesn't really matter what you prefer. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, it's funny how each of them was created is what I'm trying to say.
No,
like, but none is right and none is wrong. You know what I'm saying?
But back on the theater thing, right? I feel like now theaters have to rely on major franchises to keep them in business. And so that means all these smaller independent news stories get thrown to the wayside, right? Smaller independent theaters that aren't AMC thrown to the wayside.
Yeah.
So it's rough out here for theaters.
Yeah, I mean, even like you could argue
no matter how many times Nicole Kidman wants to say it. I think theaters have been bigger recently. So I think they have a longer shelf life than we thought they did back in COVID, but now it's still coming.
Now there's a monopoly of theaters. It's like AMC.
It's all AMC.
AMC and Regal.
Regal actually just closed a bunch of different theaters.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's sad.
I just searched it up that they're like kind of bankrupt.
Because we had like this place called ArcLight near home. Like, and there's, I think there's one in California too, actually. And it's like, then AMC just bought that theater. Because they can just a movie theater. They just bought it, put an AMC logo on it, boom. So now it's like, where's the monopoly? Whoop! It's just switching. You know what I'm saying?
It's swapping around.
It doesn't. It's like if it leaves one industry, if we start getting more movie theaters in, they're just the monopoly's gonna move. There's always.
And here's the issue.
Like,
there are certain monopolies where it's like it's the businesses that are making it, that are monopolizing it. But there are also monopolies like this theater situation where it's the people that are forcing businesses to monopolize it, right? If we went out there and went to more independent theaters, it would keep them open.
True.
But they're broke. So AMC comes in and swoops them all up.
True. And then to those owners, they're probably like, oh yeah, well, we need this money. So
exactly. That's what they were saying about the Disney Fox merger.
Yeah.
The government stepped in for a second and was like, hey, this is a monopoly. You can't be this big of a studio. And Disney and Fox said, look, man, Fox is broke. So either we buy them or someone else buys them. But we're the only ones with money. So we're going to buy them. The government's like, well, shit.
They're like, well, we're in debt. Like, we don't have money.
Yeah. Like, we don't have fucking money. So Fox needed to be purchased by somebody.
In short,
going down anyway.
Nobody has money. And everybody's in debt, and
then the only thing that gets to survive is the big fish. I think overall, this is an issue. This is a capitalism issue where it's not protecting these smaller businesses enough, and it's just feeding into this bigger fish of super business.
Right,
you know right. I mean? The AMC's, the Disneys of the world, they're too big.
Bring it back to Oscars, bring it back to connections. You could even argue that that's sort of a monopoly in itself.
Exactly.
Because you have to know somebody in the academy to get your movie in the thing.
Exactly.
Like, it's not like you can just make a movie and then like send it to the Oscars. I mean, you can, but you have to get out there, get your hands dirty. You know what I'm saying? You got to like show the movie to people. You can't like, I mean, maybe you could remotely send a few links to Steven Spielberg and see if he wants to watch
he's down.
It. Yeah. But like, I don't think he would open that email. Spielberg is way too busy.
It's rough, man. It's like, with the way that the capitalist nation of America works, you have to be able to afford these nice things in order to get them.
Yeah.
So it's always really nice, and we should always really support a situation where someone that couldn't afford these big things could have these big things.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So
that's the thing. It's right.
Shout out to Parasite.
It's like
they didn't have the American connections, but America could still recognize that this movie's phenomenal.
I think that's because they're starting finally to be more time and patience on telling other people's stories. When I say other people, I mean not like the Hollywood elite. Because like there's films made all around the world and there's film industries all around the world in different countries that don't get attention.
RRR just won for best song at the Oscars this year.
Yeah, and now
a Bollywood movie.
Finally, it's starting to get some representation in the Oscars. It's pretty late, but better late.
It is late, but I think it might be also out of necessity because the Oscars, all award shows in general, are losing viewers.
Yeah.
Award shows, sports, all these like events where you have to tune in and you can't just watch on your own leisure.
Yeah,
they're all losing like viewers.
I know there's a lot of talk if the Chris Rock Will Smith thing was like set up just to get more views last year. There was a whole.
It definitely wasn't set up.
I don't think it was either because they like you could. I mean, Chris Rock. I know he's an actor, but like
no, he took it. That man took it. Yeah. But I will say that someone that they had.
Imagine if you slowed it down and it was like a fake like stage slap. Imagine if you could like watch it.
It's like a fake hand. That'd be whack, bro. Yeah. But definitely, there's someone at the Academy that was so happy that happened because everyone saw the Oscars after that.
Yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like either way, it probably brought viewers back this year.
And so in return, they punished Will Smith and made sure he can't come back for 10 years.
And he got Best Actor. He still got to keep that.
He did get to keep that, man. It's a tricky game because like I think they did right by banning him for 10 years because you can't be doing that at the Oscars, bro. It's a bad look. But he also saved the Oscars because I'm sure if someone checks the numbers, the viewing of this Oscars is bigger because of what happened last year and people expecting something like that to happen again.
Dude, I mean, yeah. I
don't say that Will Smith single-handedly saved the Oscars, but
yeah, I don't have any arguments.
The Oscars also owe him something for that. You know?
I think on a viewership level, that's a true statement. Like he definitely brought viewership back to the Oscars.
Which brings the bigger issue about art in general.
Yeah.
You have to have your art seen in order to have any profit out of it.
Right.
But to what lengths are you willing to go to be seen? Is it the attention or is it the art? Like what?
Exactly.
What is it?
And sometimes you got to stir the pot to get some attention here and there, right? So was it set up? It could have been. It genuinely.
There's always a slight possibility.
It doesn't look like it, but that's what some executives might call a happy accident, which is kind of upsetting sometimes because I feel like socially, it almost has some negative ramifications. You know what I'm saying?
Makes the Oscars look really trashy.
It made.
Also, I think as a society, we don't agree with Will Smith's actions, but we also want to see him do it. You know what I mean? It's like, you know how like bad news.
It's voyeurism.
Yes,
it's voyeurism. It's like watching a car crash.
Exactly. It's like you know how like bad news always gets pushed like on the news. That's what everyone sees.
Yeah.
But then no one wants to see the good news.
Yeah.
It's that type of shit where like the shit that's bad is the stuff that we sensationalize and then we give our attention to, which is a monopoly. Like you can monetize that.
Going back to Rear Window, which is a great Jimmy Stewart movie, and it's like he watches because he has a leg broken. He watches in his wheelchair other people in their apartments through the windows, and you're not supposed to watch. That's like wrong. But it talks about how like the camera is behind the window. We are in his apartment and we are watching other people through his window, right? And you can't help but be curious as to what the other people are doing. And who directed that movie again?
Hitchcock.
Is that a Hitchcock one?
That's a Hitchcock.
Like he the way that he put like you in the perspective, like he gave you the perspective of Jimmy Stewart, right?
Yeah.
So he makes you almost feel guilty because he puts you. He's like you're the one who came to the movies.
Yeah, so, you're watching this guy's life,
right? So you're watching these other people now, and then it makes you feel like guilty because you're like in the shoes, and that is like an interesting concept to explore. So when you put on the news and you watch something like the Oscars, and you do give those views to the slap and to all this stuff, you're Jimmy Stewart in Rear Window. You're still turning the news on, and you're turning the news on because of the controversy.
Exactly.
So it worked.
You're feeding
the marketing
it, you know what
thing
I mean?
worked.
And I'm trying my best these days, like not to feed into stuff because of the bad news from it. Like, Don't Worry, Darling, I personally banned myself from seeing because the only time I heard about this movie was all the bad news.
I think I was intrigued in seeing it because it looked good. And then because I heard all this bad stuff, I was less intrigued in seeing it. Yeah, I think. Like now I'm so down to watch it. But like
I'm not down to see it. I didn't get a trailer from like my first time hearing about Don't Worry, Darling was, oh, did you hear about how Olivia what is her name?
Are you talking about
Olivia Wilde was sleeping with
Oh.
Harry Styles.
Oh yeah.
Like that's what I heard from the movie first. Not a trailer, not any of the actors talking about how they loved working on the movie. That's what I heard. So it's like I don't want to feed into this bad press.
I think I knew that, but I didn't know. Like, I think I might have known that they were dating or something. I can't remember what the order of events was. But then I saw the trailer in theaters randomly, and then like I didn't know it was her movie. I didn't know that she made a movie with him or something. And then I was like, "Ooh, that trailer looks really good." And like Chris Pine's in it too. I like Chris Pine, so I was like, "All right, let's check it out." But then, then there was all this like negative press and drama, and it was probably
Harry Styles spitting on Chris Pine, whatever that was about.
It made me less interested in seeing the actual film because it was like a lot of like, it was like, are we just gonna talk about the movie? Or are we gonna talk? You know, what movie somebody recommended?
What
was that movie?
Titanic?
No, Babylon. Have you seen Babylon?
I haven't seen Babylon yet.
It's like a new one. Hold on, let me Google it.
It's the one with Margot Robbie, right? And Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, the cast was like apparently like crazy, but it didn't get nearly as much press as you would have expected, apparently. But I heard
that movie's expensive, but nobody saw it.
Yeah, but apparently,
which again is the issue we're talking about with theaters, and like only the franchises get pushed.
I think
like,
I had some friends that liked it though, if I can remember correctly.
Everyone that I've heard seen it has loved it.
Yeah, so maybe we should watch Babylon.
I do want to watch Babylon. It's coming. Yeah. I'm not helping either. You know what I mean?
3
it's like
hours
the
and 9
movies
minutes.
Huh?
3 hours and 9 minutes.
I've seen longer.
I know.
I thought through the Justice League.
I think The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is like 3.5 hours. And that's like, yeah. You know how movies used to be longer and then they became shorter and then they became longer again?
Yeah. Yeah.
Classic.
I kind of miss the shorter era.
The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is it's actually only 2 hours 58 minutes.
Really?
I thought it
was
Which
cut? Maybe there's a different cut.
Yeah, maybe it's a different cut. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I miss when movies were like an hour 30, hour 50 minutes, quick in, quick out, story tight because it has to be tight. Nowadays, I feel like,
but it's like a book, man. You get more context with.
No. Well, some of these people are wasting my time.
A lot. But maybe
more than I would like.
But maybe you're also not watching the more low key ones that might not waste your time as much.
That's also true. That is also true.
Yeah, so
that's also that is also true. I just feel like when you have a long movie, it should be earned. It should be like either this is an epic tale or there's a really deep character study where like we need time with the character. Like you have to earn that.
Fences wasn't short, but it was like it captured me in like
perfect timing. I feel like with Fences because it earned it. Every minute was used for something.
Yeah,
a lot of these movies are just like inflated.
It feels bad when it feels like it's overstuffed. Like if it's like told, but if it's I think if it's paced well, you don't notice it.
That's a good story does not waste a minute of my time.
Yeah, I think also like setting out a night to watch a movie is like better than like I personally don't like having plans after I watch a movie because like I don't want to like I like being able to sit down for the night and watch the movie and then reflect and like talk about it after. But having to like do it like a matinee like first thing in the morning or something. And then you don't know where your 3 hours go, and then it's like 5 p.m. I don't like that as much. Like I like a good matinee, like a matinee. Oh, here's actually something I was gonna bring up earlier. This whole movie thing. Yeah, you can bring movies to your house, but like that's like maybe we should start focusing a lot on live theater again and like going out to that more because because that could bring theaters back a little bit to go out and see something. Because now
those are two different types of theaters.
They are. I'm just saying like. If movie theaters go out of business because of streaming services, then it's almost going to be like movies almost become like more TV based. And then what if the only way to get the live experience because there's not enough of a market because of movie theaters is live theater. I mean, I still love going out to the live theater. I was going to
say, I feel like in the future, movie theaters, they're not going to ever be completely out of business because there is something very special about movie
theaters.
There
is enough of a following.
But it's going to be like you have to go 15 miles to get to the nearest. There's not going to be like a theater on every block anymore. They're going to like downsize. A lot.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very special in the next decade to go to a movie theater. Like it's going to be, it has to be like a big event. Like not anyone's just going to go to a movie theater.
I wonder if kids will be like, oh yeah, I saw that movie. Oh no, like I didn't go to the theater. And who goes to the theater?
I see that, bro.
Yeah.
20, 30 years, I see that.
Yeah, I could see it now because I mean, COVID, like
COVID
people
definitely
hurried up the process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what COVID did was force the infrastructure to
Yeah.
house a situation like
Right.
that
True.
to be built.
True.
So now
Yeah.
that can happen right now if we wanted it.
World
to happen.
events like that can do that sort of thing. Like
Yeah, just
speed
accelerate
up,
shit.
like a hyper. What's it called? Like a what's Captain America's chamber called? Like a hyper chamber or something like that.
Cryo chamber.
Cryo chamber, cryogenic freeze, cryogenic sleep, but it like
Yeah.
speeds up the process or something.
Yeah, no, it's
Yeah.
like it exacerbates the need for certain things, and now we've developed all these things. Like
now we have the technology to do so many remote jobs, and so many
Exactly,
people have them now instead of actually like needing to be physically available for an office in a city. A
lot of my friends are doing remote jobs now.
Yeah.
They don't want to do the whole coming into an office bullshit.
Yeah, it's really starting to like matter less and less, at least like in the US, like where you're based, I feel like, and more so actually it probably still does matter where you're based, but for different reasons.
Yeah, I feel like at least because America's always been a moving country where like you're supposed to move to the place that you're supposed to be, not just stay in your town.
Yeah. The industry where you're trying to get into.
Exactly. Wherever you need to be, right? That's what America. So that's why we have so many highways compared to like other countries.
Right.
Like we're designed to move around and migrate. But because of that, we also get into this idea of like I want to design my life to how I want it to be.
Yeah.
I don't want to design my life to just be 5 blocks from this building because I have to walk into it every day.
Yeah.
I want to live in freaking like I don't know, like the countryside or something, and then I'll just go on my computer and do my work so I can get paid.
True. Yeah.
You know, like that's how people want to live their lives now.
Yeah. To each his own. Whatever works.
I think a certain level of individualism is not bad. I actually think it's a better lifestyle just personally for people because it's like, all right, I can do what I want.
People got to find the recipe that works for them. You know, some people are going to be fueled more by people, and some people are going to be fueled less by people and more by themselves.
But that's what I was going to get into because there's a downside to that though, because the more of an individual you become, the less community you have.
Yes,
you're going away from everybody, right? I could be watching The Mandalorian because, like, for me, that's what my algorithms are telling me that I should be watching.
But if they have a remote job and they're not looking for anything specifically, one could argue that a small community, like the person you see where you have to go get one commodity every once in a while, is a much more meaningful friendship than a broad, big community with no deep, meaningful friendships.
That's a good point. That's also a very good point. Actually.
So what does one need out of a community in the industry?
I guess the way to find a community is different now than it ever was earlier, where before you're born into a community and it's your option if you want to go find a different community. But now I feel like you have to build your community. Yeah. Right. What are the things that you want, and can you connect with those people that want the same thing?
And we have tools though to find the community that we feel that we belong in online, and to kind of test it out a little bit.
But these are also online communities.
Yeah,
the translation is difficult.
Sometimes you don't get the full experience, and sometimes you do need to go in person and check it out. But if it's like a video game community,
I guess video game communities are.
There are some communities that are okay that they're just online. You know what I'm saying?
There's some communities designed for online, but I think they
don't have to be. Video game friends
as creatures, we're not designed to be online. It's not in our nature.
I think
we might eventually evolve to that, but that's not right now. Technology is such a new thing.
That's a hard question to answer because it's like that's such a hard question to answer. Because it's like we're not designed to be online, but it's like we're not designed to be online.
What I'm trying to say is, right, with evolution and all that bullshit, we're designed to do certain things. And like as humans, we literally are designed to be in a community. Because if we don't,
you're saying we're social creatures.
We're social creatures, right? Without being social, we go insane. Like we're designed for that, right? But
what is insanity if you're by yourself?
That's a good point. That's an interesting point. But let me finish this point before you continue that thought.
Yeah.
With social media, right? How often do you hear that it's a great thing?
I think there is a decently average consensus that it has a lot of negatives. And I think I agree. But I think it could be utilized in a more productive way. it's tricky because I think a lot of it is designed to draw us into the negative aspects of it. But like if you're able to hone in on the helpful aspects of it, like if you're able in your bottom bar on your phone to put the 4 apps that you really need the most, like if you need to text people a lot, so you put text there, and then you need to write notes a lot, you put notes there. For some reason, I think optimizing like the bottom 4 of your iPhone, the bottom 4 you can easily click on, is like the first step in taking control of your phone.
But see, that's the thing. You have to take control.
Yeah.
It's not an automatic. I
Yeah,
feel
it's
like
not
if
an
it
automatic
was in our nature to instinctually
maybe to
make
some
it
people
good.
it's instinctual, but like I think it takes a minute. Yeah.
Perhaps in the future humans can make it instinctually good and have no side effects.
Yeah.
But as of right now, we are not built for it.
Interesting.
We have to actually control it just so we can only get the benefits and not have horrible mental side effects from it.
It's all a balance.
It's all a balance, man. But yeah, so the Oscars was great.
Yeah. Wow, that was how long have we been going for?
We've been going for a minute, actually. We should probably wrap up.
Yeah, 134. Yeah, that's about right. That was a good episode though. It was like nice Oscar surrounded, and then also very existential this time.
No, I think we had a
existential.
healthy balance of many conversations here.
Yeah. That didn't go exactly that. Today didn't go where I was expecting it to go, but it was fun conversation.
It kind of went. I don't say I like none of
it
our.
It wasn't not what you were expecting, is what you're saying.
Yeah, and what I'm saying is like none of our conversations on this podcast ever go the way I expect them to go.
Yeah.
But I do feel like they go where they're meant to go.
Yeah, I agree.
Like I feel like it does. It makes sense.
It does.
But it's also like this is not what I was planning.
Right. I gotta keep them on their toes.
Exactly.
Right.
If you knew what was gonna happen every episode, you'd be bored.
Exactly. I'm
walking.
I mean?
No spoilers here.
Yeah.
Where we go is where we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just to wrap up, just a couple of loose ends. Oscars went really well this year. I felt really inspired to see a lot of these movies. I saw All Quiet on the Western Front. Very fantastic movie. I wouldn't have seen it without it. In fact, I hope more people tune into the Oscars. I'm actually going to support them.
Interesting.
And say that I hope more people watch the Oscars because it promotes all these movies that you have never heard of because, I don't know, they're not Avengers.
I would say that's cool, but I would also say, if you love movies, like maybe try like finding some low-key filmmaker that you've never heard of on YouTube or something, like just for fun.
Where are you going with this?
Well, I'm saying like we're supporting like some movie you never heard of in the Oscars, but that's a movie that a lot of people have heard of. But if you like also support like your local artists and stuff like that you have like a friend that made a movie or something like that, it's important equally to support.
Oh no, also support your friends, but it's like you're asking people to find something that they don't even know exists in the first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Isn't that fun?
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, it could be fun. I think it's a fun adventure. If you really like movies, is what I'm saying. I'm saying if you're passionate about it. I'm just it's not like
if you're passionate about movies,
it's just a suggestion.
Watch movies.
Yeah.
It's really that simple.
You're passionate about acting.
But also I feel like a lot of movies that go to the Oscars are movies that the general, at least American populace, do not know about, do not care about.
A lot of the time, yeah.
I don't think you're gonna find another American. I mean, there's definitely a couple cinephiles out here, but just the average human being has not seen All Quiet on the Western Front.
Oh, that's a good point.
I feel like that movie is actually very good.
So you're saying overall it gets people to watch a wider range of movies.
Right, movies that are considered excellent by professional people.
Right, I think I'd agree with that.
That the regular populace would be like, oh, I don't know about it.
Yeah.
So it's not no Top Gun Maverick.
Right. A lot of people saw that one. Yeah,
it was huge, bro.
All right.
Anyway, it's time to wrap this shit up. We got things to do. Sorry.
That was a great episode.
Love y'all. It was fun, man. We had fun on this one.
I guess we'll talk to you next. Oh, by the way, this is episode 26 of Starbound, which means happy half year of Starbound.
Let's go.
That's right.
We are 6 months
We've done
old
it. This
now.
is episode 26.
That's wild.
We've done this.
And technically, we had a bye week in there
we missed 1 week, but other than that, we got everything.
Yeah, halfway through the year still.
Through the year.
Yeah, man. It's a long journey to get here.
I know. Wow.
It's crazy. Committed to it. That was my thing about this podcast. Like, I always, if we're going to do a pod, I want to be able to commit to it.
Right.
And we've committed half of a year of our lives.
It's cool that
This
it's
podcast.
really cool. It's
So,
really
We
rewarding.
can now track half
Yeah.
of a year of our life and see how we've changed and grown as people.
Yeah.
And like,
It really does
Cool.
vary. I mean, some episodes we talk about this, and then others we talk about that, and like, it's. I feel like it's interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I also feel like it's interesting.
yeah,
I
yeah.
feel like it's interesting, man. Thank you for joining us on this
Thank
journey.
you so much for listening.
Exactly.
And
We'll see you on the next half of this journey.
yeah, the next half of this year, Starbound.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Anyway, I guess on that note, it's been your boy King Kudjo
And Cough Drippy as always.
and 2 Chainz.
Peace. All right.
That's a banger.
Yes, sir.